Which dead celebrities are treated like saints, but were truly awful people when they were alive? Pablo Picasso was an abusive raging narcissist who sucked the life out of people around him. His muses were generally young women he'd domineer and destroy. Steve Jobs was an asshole to his family, his own kids hated him, his wife only stayed for the money. He also was known for throwing work colleagues under the bus to cover his own ass, and taking credit for things he didn't invent. I am from the future and Chris Brown belongs to this list too now. Wasn't John Lennon an abusive husband? Ellen DeGeneres too early sorry. John Lennon was a drug addict, a pathological liar, a woman beater, and he abandoned his family. He did all this while singing about peace and love, which makes him a hypocrite to boot. P.T. Barnum. All cause of the Greatest Showman skeptical smiley face. Alfred Hitchcock. XXXTentacion was a piece of shit. I hate saying it because outside of this incident he actually seemed like a good guy. But on 2 occasions, Paul Walker dated 16-year-old girls. Once when he was 28, and again when he was 32. This was all while he had a young daughter of his own. The age of consent in California is 18, meaning if he did anything sexual with them, he could have been charged and indicted on statutory rape. I guess being a predator is okay, though, if you're really good looking. Thomas Edison. Literally one of the biggest pieces of shit. Stole patents, stomped out competitors with physical force and violence, electrocuted an elephant to mislead the public his inferior power grid was less dangerous than Nikola Tesla's, and a lot more. Frank Lloyd Wright. Abandoned his wife and children to take a mistress, who was herself already married. He drove his butler insane, and the guy ended up killing Wright's mistress and her kids, burned down his studio, and committed suicide by drinking acid. Wright wasn't there at the time. Wright's response to this was to rebuild the studio exactly as it was before, supposedly to honor his mistress and their children, but it was pretty obvious to people at the time that he just wanted to protect his legacy as an architect, as many of his most famous innovations were showcased in the design. Sure enough, it became the museum to his work and is still visited today. Gandhi lol. Reading all these things. Is there anyone who wasn't the worst? Frank Sinatra. My grandpa's girlfriend and her husband used to work for him, and he was a right bastard. Didn't think that he had to pay people that worked for him, treated employees bad, all the usual human stuff. Big pun. His kids and widow fucking hated him, he pistol whipped his wife in front of his children and broke her face. Elvis, he was with Priscilla when she was 15. I think it's probably safe to assume they were having sex. Jimmy Savile. Until after he died and everything came out about the bad stuff he did. Paul Allen. Anyone that has a "not allowed to look at me" policy in place for his own arena staff is kind of a dick. Gandhi and Mother Teresa. What scene in a movie really irritated the shit out of you? It makes my blood boil every time a racing movie shows some driver who is behind just drop a gear, floor it, and catch up, get ahead. If you weren't already pushing your car to its limit while racing, what the hell were you doing? It's a tiny little thing, but several years ago I saw a movie where a female character was kicked in the crotch and she didn't react at all. Women might not have some bits that men have, but a blow to the crotch fucking hurts like hell. In WW84 when literally every other wish appears out of thin air. But bringing Diana's guy back involves taking over some random guy's life and using him as a meat puppet for sex, and then ransacking his apartment for a dumb 80s clothes montage, all the while ignoring the fact that this guy had a life, work, family of his own. In the movie for Avatar: The Last Airbender, the part where it is a movie that exists. The ending in The Rise of Skywalker. J.J. Abrams couldn't come up with a cooler villain, so he just said, "Oh, Palpatine's back now, guys." Any scene where someone's heart stops and doctors use a defibrillator to start it again. That over-the-top, long-as-fuck sex scene in Matrix 2. We get it, there having earth-shattering sex. Get to the bullet dodging, damn it. Whenever Vin Diesel says, "family" in Fast and the Furious movie series. The stigmata scene in The Butterfly Effect. If you call a movie The Butterfly Effect, then the Smalls R change in the past will change the future. And it did up until the prison stigmata scene. Complete bullshit and shits on the movie's idea of time travel. I love Dark as the Night, but it has a scene near the end that goes like this. Cop number 1. Everyone is in the basement, and there's only one entrance. We could just wait here in this well-illuminated hall and gun it down as soon as it cones through the door. Cop number 2. Hell, no. Let's go upstairs in the vast, dark building and split up until one of us finds it. Cop number 1. That's brilliant. Anytime in movies when they hit someone over the head to knock them out for a while. If you watch boxing or MMA, knockouts usually put them down but they aren't unconscious for long. And if a hit is strong enough to knock you out for a long period of time, it is most likely a serious injury. It's not like going to sleep. You would be fucked up afterward. One of the newer Star Wars. They're being chased by a massive ship, one so big it could turn sideways and hit the good guys with its wing tips, but instead it shoots lasers at them. Lasers that fall over distance. In the emptiness of space. With no obvious gravity source to induce the fall. Any movie in which the protagonist temporarily knocks out the antagonist but doesn't take his gun or weapon. Any point in a zombie film where the characters have no idea what a zombie is and it has to be explained. I love the Lot R movies. But the scenes when Frodo is almost succumbing to the ring or is hurt, where it goes all slow-mo and close up and he groans, just feel like they linger a few seconds too long. Alien vs. Predator. It's been a while but it went something like this. The Maya used the decimal system so the next event must be in 10 minutes. I don't have a specific one in my mind, but surely everyone despises that scene where character A could easily tell character B something massively integral to the plot but because they fail to bother, all hell breaks loose and someone dies, etc. Ugh. It's why I hate rom-coms too. Julia Roberts' character posing as Julia Roberts in Ocean's 12. Indiana Jones surviving a nuclear explosion in a fridge. It just felt like this jumping the shark moment. My buddy turned to me in the theater and said, "Want to leave?" I said no and regret watching that whole turd. When George Clooney just floats away in gravity, even though there's no force acting on him to make that happen.